Today we are going to start with the revision from units from 1 to 3, expansion. Look at your books on page 48. Here we are going to start with the first exercise to revise you with the to or enough. Write a response to each question. Include the word in parentheses and either to or enough. Look at the example. Why are you getting rid of this rug? Because it's what? To word. You remember when we talked that to is, or comes before the adjective or adverbs. Enough comes after the adjective or comes before the noun. Look at number 1. Who can read number 1?
Can I read, teacher?
Yes.
Why cannot we make a cake before the guests arrive? Use time.
Why
It's
make
enough time.
it arrive? Here we are going to use the word time. It is a noun. Time is used just when enough because it is a noun. Because there is or there are. Yes. Because we do not have enough time. We do not have enough time or there isn't enough time. Both of them are correct. Number 2, who can read? Ahmed Haswani. Can you read? Number 2, Sharif.
Yes, teacher. Why are you turning on more lights? Dark.
Why are you turning on more lights?
Because it's dark.
Too dark. Good. Here we have to use the word between the brackets and, one of the two words, too or enough. Good, because it is too dark. Good, too dark. Number 3, Khalid. Abdullah Amin. Ashraf. قال يلا عبد الله أمين. Read number 3, please. Why don't you like driving with, him? Why don't you like driving with him? Abdullah. Because he drives what? Too dangerously. He drives too dangerously. Number 4. Who can read number 4? Yanal. Are you here? Abdurrahman Saadi.
Yes, teacher.
Read, please.
Okay. Why don't you like driving with him? Dangerously.
Like,
He drives too dangerously.
why don't you like this landscape? Because
Okay. Why don't you like
yes,
the landscape trees? Trees.
it doesn't have enough trees. The landscape doesn't have enough trees. Number 5. Who can read number 5? Ahmed Azam. Abdurrahman Mahrouk.
Yes.
Yes. Read
Yes, teacher.
number 5. Ahmed Azam. Why isn't he running in the marathon this weekend? He is too lazy because he is too lazy. He isn't, running in the marathon this weekend. Number 6. Abdurrahman Mahrouk. Number 6.
Yes, teacher. Why don't you like small rooms?
Because, They make me feel what? Too claustrophobic. Read the answer, Abdurrahman. They make me feel claustrophobic.
They make me feel too claustrophobic.
Good. Number 7. Abdurrahman Musa. Muhammad Taysir. Uday. Okay, read number 7. Why do you find him difficult to understand?
Yes, teacher.
Read number 7, please. Why do you find?
Number 7. Why do you find him difficult to understand quickly?
Because he speaks, quickly. He talks quickly, too, quickly. He speaks too quickly. Number 8. Can I read number 8? Atif. Are you here, Atif? Ahmed Taysir. Abdurrahman Raed. Ashraf. Yanal. Why aren't you going to the game tonight?
Mister, I'm here. Mister,
Yes, read number 8, please.
why aren't you
Going to
game
the
tonight?
game. Good, because I'm too tired. I'm too tired. Good. Number 9. Why don't you like this coach? Because it isn't comfortable enough. So this is about the first exercise, talking about enough or too. Okay, try to have a screenshot and do it later. Let's move to the next exercise. Here we are going to form sentences by combining, items from boxes A and B. We are going to use a gerund as, the subject of each sentence. Gerund, as you remember, we add ing form to the verb to start with the sentence, to become a gerund, to become, to be used as a subject. You can use words from box B more than once. Look at the example. We have lose your keys. We will say losing your keys is irritating. Losing your keys is irritating. Now, number 1, fill out forms. Here we are going to start with the sentence, with the fill out forms, and we have to choose one of the words in box B. Who can try? And try. Filling out forms is what? Boring, I think, yes, boring. Litter, here it will be littering. Littering is what? Irresponsible. Number 3, lose your keys. Losing your keys is irritating. You can do number 4, read about scientific discoveries. Comes with fascinating.
Can I read?
Yes, Sharif.
The one after it?
Reading about
Scientific discoveries is fascinating.
Good. Next, sit in a sauna. Can try. Ahmed Azam. So here in box A, must we start with what? With a gerund, ing form.
Yes.
Sit, it will become what? Sitting.
Sitting in a sauna is
Relaxing.
okay. So
It's relaxing. It's fascinating. It's exciting. That's up to you.
mhm.
Good. Next. Yanal. Skydive.
Skydiving is exciting.
Good. Skydiving is exciting. Good. Number 7. Touch your ear with your
Can I
tongue.
try?
Yesterday.
Touching I didn't hear you. Touch your ear with your tongue. It's impossible.
Good. Touching your ear with your tongue is good. Last, can try. Witnessing a crime is what? It's frightening.
Frightening.
Yes, witnessing a crime is frightening. Now, if you look at exercise 3, just to revise you with the adjectives and the order of the adjectives. You remember when we talked about the subject, adjective order, we start with the opinion, adjectives related to opinion, then adjectives related to the size or shape. After that, we put the adjectives talking about, the age, then the color, then the nationality, and finally the adjectives related to materials. For example, this is what a beautiful old, let us say, house has been put up for sale. I have two large, for example, colorful sofa, etc. So here, write sentences using 2 or 3 adjectives to describe the following things. Here we have an example. Your school, it has expensive, expensive relates to what? An opinion. New related to what? The age. Computer labs. It has expensive new computer labs. Now, if you want to describe your room using, more than one adjective, how can we say that about your room? For example, I have a nice, big, colorful room. This book is, let's say a nice or a small, colorful book. I have, for example, a piece, of clothing. I have an expensive, let us say, brown leather jacket, and so on. So if you want to talk about the adjectives, you have to follow, the order of using the adjectives, in which we talked about before. Okay, now let's move to exercise D. You remember when we talk about the superlative with present perfect, use the words to write superlative plus present perfect questions. Then ask and answer the questions with a partner. Look at the example. Interesting class, take. What is the most interesting class you have ever taken? What is the most? Here you remember when we talk about the long adjectives and short adjectives, if it is a long adjective, we use the most. If it is short adjective, we add est with that. This is the most interesting class you have ever taken. Earth science is the most interesting class I have ever taken. Number 1, beautiful place, visit. Who can make the question? Just we want to make the questions, no need to answer.
Can I make the question?
Yes, Sharif.
What is the most beautiful place you've ever visited?
Good. What is the most beautiful place you have ever visited? What is the most beautiful place you have ever visited? Number two, London is the most beautiful place I have ever visited. That's up to you. You can answer any suitable answer. Number two, exciting city. Who can try? Abdurrahman Saadi. Abdurrahman. Ahmed Taysir.
Yes, teacher.
Yes, please. Can you make a question about, the exciting city? What is the most?
What is the most exciting city have you ever visited?
Good you have ever visited? Good. What is the most exciting city you have ever visited? Good. Tall building, C. Can try. Abdullah Amin. Qal. Hashim. Hamza. Abdullah. There is no voice. Atif. Ahmed Haswani. Abdullah Mutwalli.
Can I try?
Yes, Yanal.
What's the tallest building you have ever seen?
What is the tallest building you have ever seen? What is the tallest building you have ever seen? Good book, read. Who can do it? Yusuf.
Okay.
Yes, Ahmed.
Okay. What is best? What is the best book you have ever read?
Good. What is the best book you have ever read? What is the best book you have ever read? Spicy food, eat. Can try. Yes, Uday.
Have you ever eaten spicy food?
What is the spicy?
Okay. What is the spicy food you have ever eaten?
Have ever eaten? What is the spicy food you have ever eaten? Good. Number 6. Who can try? Who can try? Very famous hard thing to do. What
Yes.
is
What's the hardest thing you've ever done?
Good. What is the hardest thing you have ever done? Good. Famous person meet. Uday.
Yes, teacher. What's the most famous person you have ever met?
What is the most famous person? Who is the most famous person you have ever met? Who's asking about a person? Who's the most famous person you have ever met? Scary film watch. Can try. Can try. What is the scariest film you have ever watched? What is the scariest film you have ever watched? Far place travel. What is the farthest place you have ever traveled to? Number 10, thoughtful present received. Most thoughtful, present you have ever received. I'll try to write them quickly or have a screenshot to write them later. Okay. Let's move to the next exercise. You remember when we talk about the comparative with the, rewrite each sentence as the comparative. Look at the example. He has been getting more exercise. He has been feeling better. So the sentence will be, the more exercise you get or he gets, the better he feels. The more exercise he gets, the better he feels. Look at number one. Who can read number one? Can read the sentence, just reading. Read, yeah, Ahmed Azam. She's been studying anthropology.
She's been studying anthropology. She's becoming fascinated with it.
Good.
The more she studies anthropology, the more fascinated she becomes with it.
Good. The more she studies anthropology, the more fascinated she becomes with it. Number two, who can read? Today?
Yes, teacher.
Number
the more we're getting closer to the summer, the more I'm getting excited.
Good. We are getting closer to summer. I'm getting excited. The closer we get to summer, closer or the more excited I get. The closer we get to summer, the more excited I get. Number three. Who can read? Number three. Abdurrahman Mahroub. Read number three. When a joke is
Yes,
really
teacher.
fun.
When a joke is really funny, people laugh really hard. The funnier the joke, the harder people laugh.
Number four. Who can read number four? Omar Jarrah, Abu Hir, Abdul Hamid, Muheen, Abdurrahman Musa. Can read number four. Just reading.
Can I read, teacher?
Yes.
I keep sitting on this couch. I'm getting more and more tired.
Good. Read the answer. The longer I sit in this couch,
The longer I sit in this couch,
the more tired I get.
the more tired I'm getting.
Number five.
Okay.
Yes, Sharif.
Okay. Usually when a pair of shoes is cheap, they fall apart quickly. The cheaper the shoes, the more quickly they fall apart.
Good. Number six, the last. Small rooms make me feel, claustrophobic. The smaller the room, the more claustrophobic I feel. Okay, try to do the exercise quickly or have a screenshot. Now, if you finish, go to your homework.